How valuable is a quarter? 25 cents, often only enough to buy the smallest thing at a gas station, something to make sure you don't have to split one of your bills with, something to completely rig a heads or tails bet, or even to learn dumb coin tricks to annoy all your friends with.
You're starting to piss me off with that coin, Connor.
In Plants vs. Zombies 2, I've seen and done myself quite a few different challenges, including specific families of plants, specific definitions of plants, only allowing fruits, nuts, beans, and even restricting the player from using sun altogether. However, what if we extend a new challenge to using only plants that costed 25 sun? No more, no less, and thus we have the premise for this challenge, asking can you beat Plants vs. Zombies 2 with only 25 sun cost plants? So the premise for this challenge is pretty simple. I'm restricted to only using plants that cost 25 sun each. This excludes any plant that costs more or less, presenting the obvious challenge that there are only 9 25 sun cost plants in the game that I know of. This also excludes plants that can be upgraded into costing only 25 sun. Furthermore, the following days will not be counted, being conveyor belt days, pre-picked plants missions, ultimate battles, zomboss fights, and any other gimmick levels that prevent me from being able to use only 25 sun cost plants, though I might still do them just to say I did. Additionally, any plants that are on the field as part of the map, including protecting endangered plants, or just random leftovers, are free for me to plant food or dig up as I see fit, and from there, let's get into the tiers of doability of how doable this challenge actually is. If it's tier 1, the challenge is completely doable. I don't ever have to power up my plants with gems, buy plant food, or use power-ups or non-25 sun cost plants. If it's tier 2, it's somewhat doable because I still did it using only 25 sun cost plants, but I had to power up one of them, or buy plant food, or upgrade one of them. Still doable, just not entirely on merit alone. If it's tier 3, I had to use power-ups or a non-25 sun cost plants, and thus I actively failed the challenge, and thus the trail runs dead here. But with that being said, we got started loading into Ancient Egypt, beginning the challenge. And starting out, every first 6 days of Ancient Egypt on any challenge are automatic wins, due to the simple fact that lawnmowers respawn forever here, making it impossible to lose even if they're force-picked, pre-picked plant waves or not. We attempt them anyways because, well, why not, and get to adding in our first 25 sun plant. And this time around, we're actually going to be starting off with 2 different plants. The first being the recurring character Tomb Tangler, a powerful and sturdy walnut variant that both slows and randomly terminates zombies near it, with its only downside being that it can only be planted on graves or zombie objects. And our other 25 sun plant being the potatomine, which everybody already knows what it does. It takes time arming itself, a zombie steps on it, and then something really funny happens. And actually getting into things, we moved through the opening days of Egypt pretty easily, as this is very similar to the Parasites only playthrough, which also allowed Tomb Tangler, and that's largely because Tomb Tangler is just a genuinely competent plan. Combine that with the Potatomine, who is also decently competent at taking out single targets or clumped up zombies, and you have a duo who are largely capable of defending themselves through the majority of the opening days. We get to day 11, which is a pre-picked plants wave, so it doesn't count, but since Potatomine is present there, we go ahead and do the day anyways, and yep, day 11 is doable with only 25 sun plants. Day 12, nothing of significance happens, and we can easily first try it, and then we get to day 13, the first mold colony mission, which largely doesn't affect us, yet due to my defense being completely localized wherever the tombstones are, this won't be the case forever though. Largely, our success in Ancient Egypt correlates to how many tombstones there are, as long as I can keep parasitizing the zombies' property, we can easily turn the day on the zombies. Day 15 was protect the endangered plants, and normally I would start clapping over the fact that we give free sun, but since all my plants only cost 25 sun and one of their seed refreshes is too slow to ever even cause a sun cost deficit anyways, they largely didn't play any actual role other than just being something that I had to look after. And this actually helped present an interesting yet in hindsight kind of obvious advantage to using only 25 sun cost plants, that even though there is a sun producer we can use, that we probably won't even need it most times just due to most days having a total lack of sun costs for us.
Speaking of you leaving, rent is going up. 10 gold a week.
Pathetic. I'll give you 20.
How do you have this much money?
Day 17, never have more than 14 plants. Oh no, anything but that. Yeah, there was no issue here, moving right along. Day 18 is the first plan your defense mission, but there wasn't really all that much planning to do, so I just made an entire minefield out of potatoes and then planting tomb tanglers as fast as I could throughout the day, and we had no problems. Day 19, never have more than 16 plants and survive without planting on the mold colonies. Once again, neither one of these really affect us early on, with either one of these, but this probably won't be the case forever. Day 20, protect more sunflowers who serve 0 value to us because we're already rich, and we make sure to put potato mines in front of every single one to block off torch zombies, and we're done before we know it. Day 21 went by suspiciously fast for some reason. It pre-picked some plants for us, but it wasn't nearly enough to cause problems, but whatever, it's done. Day 22, literally the same thing as day 19, still with no issues. We spam toon tanglers on any gray we haven't parasitized yet, and fill the remaining area with potato mines, making it a glorified World War I no man's land's trench. Day 23 didn't even bother trying to be special, but did send a Gargantuar towards the end, which we didn't have enough potato mines in place yet, so it took the lawnmower, but whatever, it's done. Day 24 was another plan year offense, but once again we made an entire potato minefield and made the tombstones tomb tanglers, and a few minutes later we had won a second time. And with day 25, the only thing left to do was to show Dr. Zomboss what a real man looks like. We had successfully first tried all of ancient Egypt with only a bunch of quarters.
A shiny quarter. No, Chris, I'm a warrior.
And moving on to Pirate Seas, starting out, we already know seagull zombies are coming, and Potato Mine has no way of hitting them, so we waste no time and add the third 25 SUNCOST plant to the team, which I have decided will be Buttercup. The main reason being that whenever it's attacked, it launches butter, so it instantly destroys seagull zombies, but also it has a relatively fast charge time, and its Butter Splash does a decent amount of damage, making it a competent defender, which I soon learned was an understatement, as Buttercup was easily able to lather up entire waves of zombies in its thick, creamy butter before violently murdering them. This effectively made Buttercup an invaluable asset all through Pirate Seas, even capable of hitting barrel zombies, though usually dying in the process. Its only problem, though, was that when it comes to actually terminating zombies, although it can do it fine, it's comically slow in doing so. Still, though, it was a very ironic thing, as this thing was likely going to be my most powerful plant through this whole challenge, meaning all I had to do in the end was add butter.
Add butter. Add butter, add butter, add butter, add butter, add butter, add...
Things go on normally without a hitch for a few more days, zombies of different values keep coming, and I just keep adding butter. Potato Mine ended up playing a very minor role in my fights, with it largely just being kept in the back as a last resort if they get past my butter adding, but most of the time we didn't even need it, let alone the lawnmowers. And eventually we get to the first sun production mission at day 13, where we need to produce 2,000 sun. Usually this would be a huge point of contention for me, but the 25 SUNCOST Sunshroom is completely fair game, and it gets us right over the line without even so much as a moment's hesitation. Of course, we don't need the sun, so we just keep adding butter. So when it came to planning our defenses on day 14, we of course just ended up dealing with it by once again adding butter. Day 15, don't let the zombies trample the flowers, with the added special objective of get the zombies all greasy, so we deal with this once again with our secret tactic to add butter. Day 16, endangered plants, but those endangered plants are spring beans, so we just plant food them with a few dimes, and the day basically finishes itself. Day 17, defeat 20 zombies in 30 seconds. We know that buttering zombies is an obnoxiously slow way of dealing with them, but we can subsidize that by manually activating a lawnmower to push us over the line. Day 18, given plants so we can't butter up anybody, cringe, moving on. Day 19, produce 1,750 sun and don't trample the flowers. We once again solve this with mushrooms and adding butter. Day 20, yet another sun production mission, but it's even less, so we just use the butter to saute the mushrooms, and once again we're through it. Day 21, 5 zombies in 5 seconds and produce X amount of sun. I didn't even need to do the lawnmower launch here, as I just plant fooded the buttercups to add butter in sufficient enough volume. And then we get to day 22, the second real challenge of any PvZ2 challenge playthrough, and additionally the first mission I initially failed a few times, being to defend against a horde of imp cannons on a planned defense. Now, you may think that even with Buttercup, that since I have no way of attacking the cannons at the present moment, that this day would cause me significant problem, and you'd be correct, with it being extremely difficult to muster enough firepower to butter up or destroy all the imps when they explode all over us.
Oh, looks like the official ZZZ subreddit was right.
This was moderately concerning, as once again there's only 9 different 25-cent plants to choose from, and Buttercup, so far from what I've seen, is the most powerful. So this partially puts me into panic mode, especially considering we were barely losing here. Fortunately though, I just temporarily add Stunnian to the team, another 25 SUNCOST plants, in order to stall the imps, just barely enough to set up more butter, and finish them all off. I also had to do some stalling with Potato Mine, and probably could have brought even more 25-cent plants, considering we don't exactly worry about sun here, but whatever, it's done. Day 23, 8 zombies in 10 seconds and don't trample the flowers. I did the most unpredictable thing here, and added butter. Yeah, it was another easy day, moving on. And then we get to the actually surprising stall of day 24, being to protect 2 endangered spring beans. Now, once again, the spring beans on their own are more than capable of destroying a majority of the wave with their attack. However, there's also 2 imp cannons perpetually firing at them in waves, and since they fall asleep for a brief period after attacking, they aren't taking them down in enough time to not be eaten. We can forcefully bring them back up with plant food, allowing them to deal with both the imp attacking and 1 more before it goes to sleep again, but the problem is, we just don't have enough plant food to do that for 2 entire cycles. I knew this wouldn't be the end of the challenge here, because there was in fact another 25 SUNCOST plants that could probably help us out of this bind, but alas, I didn't have the seed availability at the moment, so I just hung in there, and eventually with the help of Stunnian again, we make it through just barely by stalling the imps long enough for the beans to reload. But with the only thing left to do being to explode all over Zomboss, we were officially done with Pirate Seas, and I decided to cut it here, as we had made a great start with this challenge, and with its future being optimistic, yet still uncertain, how many more times will I add butter? The only way to find out is on the next episode. But if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, please leave me a comment down below letting me know your thoughts, as well as what you'd like to see next, both Plants vs. Zombies and otherwise. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing as I upload new long-form content every week, as well as new shorts most every day encapsulating variety content, including challenges, guides, memes, audience participation, playthroughs, and even theories. Also, join the Discord with the link in the description, as well as the pinned comment to become part of the show. But with that being said, thank you all again so much for watching, and big thank you to my channel and Patreon supporters, and I will see you all next time.